Howdy.
Hello. Okay, let's see whether people depend on Kevin Beach. No.
How's it going, Leo?
Hi, Leandro.
Hey, how are you guys?
Doing good. How about you?
Oh, pretty well. I can't complain.
Same.
Always warm, always sunny. A bit too hot in Greece.
Come on, we know. We know. What's the current temperature? Where do you live in Greece?
I'm in Thessaloniki. It's the coolest part of Greece, but it's still a bit too hot for me. Let me see the current temperature. Right now it's 30 Celsius.
30. Okay,
Yes.
let me see. We are winning by the small margin. 31 here.
All right, all right. I bet we can beat you.
Yeah, but you have the coast. We don't.
Yeah.
You
I'm
have
originally from Cyprus, where we regularly go to 44, 45 during the summer.
Ooh, I am actually thinking right now to bring my kids to go with them, to travel with them in Ayia Napa again.
Okay.
Like I was there actually for a couple of lines, and it will be first time for them. But I would rather go in Cyprus. I love it.
Ayia Napa is a bit wild for children. I don't know how old they are. Maybe you prefer something more family like Paphos.
Yeah, I know, but no, I visited Paphos and I didn't like it that much. I would still go with Famagusta region or however
Okay,
it's
yeah,
called.
it's a nice region, but Ayia Napa is very crazy.
Yeah, but like let them learn from this, like since they're small, so let them learn to party. I don't know. Depends. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, the air flight tickets went skyrocketed literally in the past few weeks. Anyway, so I don't know. Okay, how much do we have? We have Christian, we have Ryan, we have the right Ryan, the real Ryan, not the fake one from Intersect, right? And then we have Marcin. Okay, so let's wait for a bit more because at this moment we wouldn't be quartered. Kevin gave an excuse. Christian said he would be listening, as there is a Filecoin thing going on in the background. So I don't know. Neil, nobody else provides any excuse for the time being. No, Alexander Moser as well. Maybe all of them are on the workshop, to be honest.
There he is.
Or any. Hi, Alex. Right now, I would say you're poor. Well, I'm just the scribe. But there are 5 of you. So who would like to be a yeah, we invited him the moment you gave me the email, Christian, but I don't know whether he will join. It doesn't depend on me. Okay, who'd like to act as a chair?
Sure.
Who
Sure,
can?
whatever.
Can do it like last time. I could just make sure that we're following agenda and basically that's
Exactly.
it. If you need to make a, okay, that's fine.
Exactly, that's my plan.
Okay. Okay. Okay, let's begin. Just a second to share the thing. Okay, the agenda. Actions from the last meeting. On me. Post Quantum Crypto. Alessandro and Alex. TSC proposal feedback. Tex and me. Tex is not here, so I don't know. He was part of that. Just a second. Who? What? Wait. Oh, hi, Tex. I didn't see you. Great, you're here. Thanks. Providing TSC feedback on Ecclesia proposals. There are some notes here in this item. We can open it later. Half-fork status, which I can give for Ryan. Committee means size as well. Upcoming chair elections. Anything else of business? So, if there are any questions or any additions that need to be added to this one, I will gladly do it. Otherwise, I'm going to start with the actions from the last meeting, which are, of course, listed always. Okay, revise. It was for Kevin to revise the TSE Ecclesia budget proposal by Friday noon. That was last Friday, and it was done. And Tex and Kevin did an amazing job from my point of view. It was also on whether this was Alonso or Alex. I'm not sure whether this is correct. But to review the CC minimum size rationale metadata document prepared by Ryan and comment on Slack, and there was already some discussion going on, especially when it comes to the civics committee opinion. Do you want to add anything to that, Alex, or?
Yes, the civics committee got back to us and complained that we made 2 drastic changes in the suggested rationale, but we have since emotionally taken care of them and collaborated on a unified proposal that we're both happy with. They were very much focusing on the history of the CC min size parameter change proposal, which the first version of was submitted by Utah, where it was conflicting with the MEM unit increase parameter change. So when the MEM units got accepted, the first CC minimum size reduction got devalidated on chain. And basically the whole document was revolving around that and avoiding questions of DREPs why there is now a second one. But Ryan, Williams and I, we somewhat ditched that and focused more on the actual parameter change. That was
Okay.
was
That's
the
the
whole thing.
Alex. I would be the third one to raise the hand. So Christian is first, Ryan is the second one, and then I will be the last one. Go on, Christian.
Yeah, just more administration. Hart's on the call, but he says he has no permissions for video sharing or anything.
Okay, he's a collaborator. Yeah. Okay, I will make that happen.
Yeah. Thanks.
Ryan, go on.
Right. Yeah, I know we discussed if we were going to try and combine the committee min size with min pool cost, since they both have the same thresholds. Did we ever make a decision on that?
To combine on min pool cost, or what are you referring to?
Yeah, so we have, or maybe it's a different parameter.
It was a different one that we discussed the last time. But if you're anyway asking about combining the two, I would vote no, because the two are both worth discussing separately.
Yeah, I appreciate the ability for DREPs and delegators to be able to weigh both separately and not have to have a bundled package of things.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind bundling stuff that is not like there's not much to discuss about, like the MEM unit increase of 7%. That's like not really controversial.
Yeah.
CC min size is also not controversial, but it's a completely different topic and touching too much. Just my opinion.
That being said, we do have a handful of like a kind of growing backlog of parameter changes to do. Are we able to? Do we have to wait for it to be completely ratified before we could submit the next one, or can we reference it as soon as the threshold is crossed?
Yes, we can. We can even already before, if we expect the parameter change to pass, like we will do with CC min size. I think the plan right now is to submit that. Last time I heard this week.
That was the intent, but it depends on the collaboration effort between, or aligning on the changes, or how the metadata would look like.
So we don't wait for the Plutus one to finish at all. We directly continue with CC min size.
Awesome. That sounds good.
Okay, Christian, go on. You have a hand raised. Okay, you might
I think that was there from last time. My bad.
Okay. Okay. Okay, for Marcin, Alonso, Alessandra, and Alex, you all have accepted. Do you have the information text whether all of them accepted the ClickUp workspace invitations?
Yes, I believe everybody is set for ClickUp.
Perfect.
Ed left was another committee, so.
Okay. Also, Alonso to coordinate with you and me to update and sync his official member profile email address for private Slack channel access. That was on or not? Next, do you?
Which one for who?
Just give me a sec. This one.
Everyone should be good as far as access that I'm aware of.
Okay. Okay, we don't have Alessandro here, so I don't know. Can you just check in the background if you're able to? If you are not doing anything else, of course. So just check whether he's in the Slack or not.
Alexander's here and Alonso. I don't see Alonso right now, but he's set. So everyone's in both Slack channels. Everyone has ClickUp. Everyone has Drive. We're all set.
Okay, great. Okay, and then Ryan, was it Ryan Williams or Ryan Wiley? I don't know. Probably Williams. Did this happen, Alex, Rich, Mandarino, or whoever it was? Was any outsider attending that?
Yeah, he was there. He attended it. I think we had a good discussion.
Okay.
Today, so.
Okay, great. Sharing the tab, post-quantum crypto, the notes. The only note left from Kevin was guest speaker, 20 minutes discussion. So there was also a note being done by Christian in the meantime, a few minutes ago, right? Or 10, 15 minutes ago. So I don't know who needs to jump in and start with this topic.
Yeah, I mean, I can do an intro for Hart. I think he does have a presentation. He's ready to do that, and then we can do Q&A after that. But for those who don't know, Hart Montgomery is the Chief Technology Officer of the Linux Foundation Decentralized Trust, where they host Hedera, as well as I think Midnight's now building there too. But they've been in the space a while, and quantum became the big thing. So Hart has some experience with what's going on in other ecosystems. And I'm hoping this can help us spearhead some next steps as we start exploring solutions in Cardano. So I'll hand it over to Hart.
Awesome. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, thank you.
Great. I can go for basically as long or as short as you all want. So just tell me what you all think. How long do you want me to talk for?
I would want to talk to you about this for 2 days, but if we can compress it to, like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes, and we would have time for our other agenda points as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me share my screen. Can you see my presentation?
Yeah.
All right. Is it looking like the slideshow? Perfect. All right, that looks good. Yeah, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about post-quantum readiness for blockchain. Please feel free to interrupt me with questions, comments, whatever. A brief little outline, and please let me know if I'm insulting your intelligence with anything here. Like if you want me to skip through something because everybody already knows it, totally fine. Sound good? Awesome. So first topic, quantum computing. How familiar here are folks with quantum computing?
Decently.
Like very familiar. I've written papers on it. Like I know what it is. I'm not going to go too deep into it today because, this is the first lecture of, Mark, who's one of my friend's courses in quantum computing. It's all about just, let's get into the complex numbers and do unitaries. So I don't want to talk too much about that. But I think it's worth focusing on what, quantum computers can and can't do, right? Scott Aronson, I think, lays this out really nicely. What are quantum computers, good for? Simulating quantum and physics and chemistry, breaking a lot of cryptography, and some modest benefits from optimization. The the main point is don't trust people that over optimize or over promise quantum, but we are in a world where quantum is very devastating for cryptography. And I will say, as an aside, in the simulations, there are a lot of really cool new results on connections between cryptography and physics, like one-way functions in black holes, but I'm not going to talk about that today. So how is cryptography broken, right? You all probably know this already, so I'll skim through this, right? Public key encryption that is used today, like RSA or elliptic curve-based public key encryption, is basically completely broken, right? Rough estimates ignoring log factors, right? We go from something completely intractable to something, the log of that, which is very breakable, right? For symmetric key cryptography, right? The best known algorithm is Grover's algorithm, right? And this essentially allows you to do a computation in the square root of the time, right? So given basically any function f of x in an output, Grover's can solve for a unique input in time square root the number of possible choices for x. People here, I assume, have seen Grover's algorithm before? Awesome. I'm getting a lot of thumbs up. So I'll move quickly. So one thing to note that, quantum algorithms can be significantly more expensive to compute than classical algorithms. Maybe you've seen about, quantum error correction or other things like this, right? So it's debatable whether Grover's algorithm will constitute a practical speedup for attacks on symmetric cryptography. And if it does, it depends on how much. So the short thing we're going to get to is that, symmetric key encryption, even if for some reason you chose to do things with AES 128, is a much lower priority than public key encryption, just because we don't know exactly, how much of a practical speed up Grover's will actually be. On the other hand, Shor's algorithm for discrete log and factoring, that's something we definitely need to plan for. So when is quantum computing coming? I guess there was a table done on this very recently that even sped things up. This is sort of a poll of experts. This is done every year. And did you all see the Google announcement recently where they're pushing things up in the Google paper? So things are continually moving up. And one of the biggest problems with this is this so-called harvest now, decrypt later problem, right? You all may have seen this before, but the basic problem is an adversary can record encrypted data that it sees and then decrypt it in the future, right? So this is particularly a problem with blockchain, right? So if you all are putting any encrypted data on a blockchain or even in off-chain data flows, this can definitely be recorded, and someone's probably actually doing this today. This isn't just a hypothetical. So this is something that definitely needs to be accounted for. And so if we look at this kind of like overall migration timeline, right? It's not just the harvest now, it's not just the migration time, right? It's also, the length of time your data is valuable, at least for migrating encryption. So, you have to work back even further, and it's worse for hardware. So many blockchain applications don't use encryption, right? At least in native, in sort of the pure blockchain, right? It's just signatures and hash functions for many, many chains. So this is something it's a little less worrisome, but migration for blockchain, as I'm sure aware, can be significantly harder than for other applications, right? migrating something without any downtime is always hard. So this is something that needs to be planned early, even if we don't have to worry about encrypted data. So what do we recommend? The first thing we recommend people do is to know what cryptography you're using today, right? This is actually difficult for big tech companies, you know, and it gives lots of benefits, right? If you look deep into an audit, you find a lot of people using insecure classical cryptography. You know, for something like a blockchain protocol, the core protocol is probably very easy to do such an inventory, but if you start looking at all the applications and everything else, it gets hairy in general. So how many people here are familiar with SBOMs and CBOMs?
I know what a bomb is in electronics, but so I can infer what they mean in that context, but go ahead.
Yeah. So a CBOM is just, as we say on the slide, a machine-readable inventory of all cryptographic assets in a software system. This is similar to an SBOM, which is sort of a broader list of software dependencies. And these are becoming important facets of software security, right? In open source software, we typically consider having an SBOM to be, you know, best practice. I have actually a whole nother talk on this, but I'll briefly mention it here. When software is built today, it's typically not written from scratch, right? It's built, people use open source libraries, they connect it to get them together with shim code, and then they, you know, use open source application tools on top of that. So even for a closed source application, only something like 10% of code is actually new. And this presents kind of a big problem if you have all of these software dependencies, right? What if there's a bug in one? Well, you need to know and you need to be able to update it, right? So that's what SBOMs help you do. And CBOMs are sort of similar. But from a security posture, I definitely recommend using SBOMs and CBOMs now too. This is what a CBOM looks like. You know, very straightforward, very simple. So we actually have tools for this at the Linux Foundation if you want to use them. We have a project called CBOM Kit. It's really straightforward and easy to use. Definitely recommend trying it out for some of your larger code bases. You know, probably the core Cardano code base itself is okay, but all of your applications, it's worth checking out. And then we say, you know, once you know what you need to migrate, we encourage you to make a plan, right? So this can be challenging, right? Right away for encryption, for things like SSL, it's very easy to migrate, right? You're probably already using PQSSL. Signal, Apple, AWS, Google. I think Cloudflare estimates that something like 40% of encrypted traffic is done with PQ now over the internet, so that's really good. And if you're not using PQ encryption for basically all of your encryption, we strongly recommend it. Or at least, well, hybrid encryption is fine, but you know, we can talk about that later if you want. Certificates are another problem, right? PQ certificates are much larger. There's a bunch of active research going on in this, like Merkle certificates. Progress has gone much more slowly because the overhead is much higher. You know, most people don't have roadmaps, you know, but I do want to show sort of what like a good roadmap looks like. It's not a blockchain one, but I think AWS has a really nice roadmap plan that you can find. It's public. They've classified everything into sort of multiple work streams with different priorities. And then they talk about how they're going to migrate each of these different applications. And you can see generally, encryption is higher priority. And then they move on to sort of all the lower priority things. Google also has a really good one. You can see what their cryptographers have said. So just a summary for blockchain, don't store any non-PQ encrypted data. And be sure to check for any ZKPs that are not PQ secure and not perfectly hiding. This is also the case for commitments. Most commitments in ZKPs are perfectly hiding. If we remember from our intro cryptography, commitments can be perfectly hiding or perfectly binding, but not both. Most commitments that people use are perfectly hiding, so you can't lose data if there's a quantum computer and it's a non-PQ commitment or ZKP, but an adversary could forge a proof. But that's okay in the context of Harvest Now, Decrypt Later. We encourage people to migrate any, obviously, off-chain data to PQ encryption. And if you're using things like BLS signatures or KZG commitments, which some people do for various blockchain applications, there aren't really good PQ replacements today, and this is a big topic for research. I don't think they're in the base protocol, but are you all using BLS or KZG for anything?
Not to my knowledge. BLS is Ethereum specific.
Sorry?
KZG, I haven't even heard.
So BLS signature. Sorry, go ahead.
BLS is very particular to the EVM world. I don't think that we use that in Cardano.
Mm-hmm.
KZG would have to help me with the acronym. I don't think I've heard of that before.
It's a polynomial commitment scheme. Might be using it if you're doing ZKP stuff. So in Cardano, it would be more of an application layer thing rather than or I guess not even an application layer thing. But yeah, if you're doing ZKP somewhere in your blockchain flow, it's
not natively.
Yeah.
Midnight does, but they are PQ already.
Yeah. BLS has a lot of nice signature properties, like for thresholdization that people use it, but we don't have a non-interactive threshold scheme. So one thing I do want to hammer is cryptographic agility. Have you all heard about this before? So this is the ability to basically switch cryptographic algorithms, keys, and protocols without disruption to the overall system. So this is just a software engineering feature. We encourage people, and I'm sure you've gotten this in your time as developers, to write modular software and modular code. And essentially, cryptographic agility is just writing modular cryptography. If you have a PQ agile, system, a migration is very easy. There are a lot of security benefits. Key rotation can potentially become very easy. Bugs and implementations can be hot fixed quickly. And this isn't necessarily a problem in a blockchain system, but it does mean that people building applications can use your cryptographic libraries more easily. Is there a question?
Yes, on that point, how would you practically achieve agility because PQ cryptography is not directly a drop-in replacement in terms of the properties that the signature has, for example.
That's a great question. And you're sort of getting to the heart of agility, right? It's that your protocol should work even if the signature size is larger, right? So one of the big challenges we see in migration is that people assume that signatures fit in an individual packet, right? And the protocol might break if the signatures don't fit in a packet, right? Now, as far as I know, there are only a couple of signatures and even candidates, like one mode of Falcon, for instance, that fit in a single packet. So yes, I guess just making the software work with flexible cryptography. And you're right that it doesn't exactly work in the same way, but it should still work. And I'll give an example here. So this is Google's Tink library. This is their sort of higher level crypto library. This is what they encourage all their developers to use at Google. And encourage is a soft word, they really require it. I would definitely encourage you to look at this for thinking about crypto agility and how to write crypto agile code. It's really nice. It handles sort of pre-commitments to keys, which is a super cool thing. It enables fast rotation. As far as I know, no blockchain does pre-rotations, but I think that's a really cool feature that might be useful. Yeah. And just from a report, very good for long-term security in a post-quantum world. Excuse me. I'll say we have good tools at the PQCA, at the LF for this. In particular, if you're looking for good implementations, the PQCP has a lot of good formally verified cryptographic algorithms. We think it has the most efficient formally verified implementations of NIST standards. This is already used by AWS and a whole other host of people in their production deployments. So I'll stop here and ask any questions and take any questions. I have a couple more kind of like fun topics. Basically, don't use QKD. And then like if we think about sort of like very, very long-term blockchain, we can talk about quantum money. But it's probably better just to stop here and take questions. Do y'all have questions for me?
Yeah, we did have a few from Neil that wasn't here. If Alex, you want me to ask those?
Yeah, please go ahead. Absolutely true. I forgot about them.
Okay. Give me 1 second to pull them up. So one for you, Hart, is you might have already covered it, but what is the general quantum risk to Cardano? How does it differ from other quantum risks out there? Store and analyze later. Doesn't really apply to Cardano.
Cardano is low, right? Compared to other chains.
Why? I personally think the Cardano is critically more vulnerable.
Why is that?
I'm hearing differing opinions.
Why do you think Cardano is more vulnerable?
Because the consensus depends on it through the VRF function of the keys of the SPOs.
Yes. So consensus for every blockchain essentially is not PQ. It has to be upgraded, right?
Bitcoin doesn't.
What?
Bitcoin doesn't.
Well, they have to change the signature algorithm, right?
only of the addresses of the users, but the consensus itself is just work-based.
Sure. So Bitcoin in that regards, yes. But every other non-proof of work blockchain has to update at least the consensus algorithm somehow, right?
The VRF key stays the same.
So yes. Excuse me. So you all aren't doing any encrypted data or any encrypted commitments, though. You know, there are other blockchains that are doing this, and this is like a big problem. That is a big problem, right? So I generally, yeah, I generally put in the chains that are that have some kind of encrypted commitments in the higher risk, and the chains that don't in the lower risk.
I would actually agree that the risk for Cardano is slightly smaller because the compromising the VRF lottery will only reveal when somebody will produce a block. This will be public.
Yeah.
We actually have a history of running Cardano for a period of time like that before we had VRF.
That's right. Yep. I mean, I'm not going to say it's easy or it's you know, it's not important, but I think there are other chains that have a significantly higher challenge. Given that, you know,
it doesn't mean it's really important.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's challenging, and it is important. But if we're just looking at it from a relative perspective, there are other places that like the I would certainly think that like pretty much everything in EVM land would be more challenging.
Just to change a topic with one more question. Are there any current security assumptions of Cardano as a distributed ledger, thinking about this separately to wallets and TXX or transactions for a moment, that would be markedly changed? This is the second question.
Are there anything that would be markedly changed?
As a distributed ledger?
Yeah, I guess it depends on, I apologize for this answer, but it depends on what you define as markedly changed, because the most things that are going to change or they're going to have to change are the efficiency, right?
Okay, there was a subset to this, if it helps for context.
Sure, yeah.
E.g., grinding getting easier, masquerading of SPO keys possible. How does it threat our surface change?
I'm not worried about grinding in any shape or form, at least in the near future, right? You know, people aren't going to initially use quantum computers for that, right? It's just not a high value target or a high value thing to do. You know, so that's not something I'm particularly worried about. Yeah, I would imagine people are like, in blockchain, at least people are just going to target high value keys or consensus protocols.
Okay.
Grinding is just not effective.
And then is the masquerading of SPO keys possible?
The masquerading of SPO keys?
Yeah, stick pull operators.
And what do we mean by masquerading?
I don't know full context there. Maybe pretending to be an SPO.
Yeah, I would I would assume the same meaning. Taking the same way as you would steal assets from a private key, taking
so-
ownership of
A
a
Twitter troll stealing someone's account.
Yeah, so got it. So basically just like I factor or use Grover's on your key and then impersonate you. Is that the attack?
as an SPO. Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely legitimate, right? You know, you would have to address this. You'd have to address this with migration, right?
But wouldn't the worst case in that case be again grinding? Because if the stake pool is live and active, it would either double produce, equivocate, which is not a thing in Cardano, or produce like a conflicting block to reduce both. So at worst, if all SPOs are masqueraded, the chain holds.
Yes. Assuming I can't, deny service or do something else.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right that that's probably a little bit. As long as the original owner is active. Yeah, I agree that you're right. I had considered the original owner not to be active, but if the original owner is still active, then you get an equivocation.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. So I think that wouldn't be that would at least be identifiable and wouldn't be as devastating.
It's like in a Spider-Man meme situation.
Yeah, exactly. It would be devastating for the individual owner, but yeah, the consensus would probably be okay. Yeah, I'm happy to talk more later. If you all have specific things, happy to talk about them.
Yeah, if you want to later, Hart, if you have time, I'd love to do a side recording of your whole presentation deck just outside of this forum. But I also have a list of questions I'll drop to you that we can do async.
Yeah, and I'm happy to answer questions. Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Is the presentation public, or would you?
Yeah, I can send it to.
I want to
Christian.
ask you to share it, but I would appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll send it to Christian, and you all can do whatever you want with it.
Oh, you are amazing. Thank you very much, Hart.
Thanks, Hart.
Thank you all. I'm sorry I couldn't have more precise answers for all of your questions.
You did. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Hart. It was phenomenal.
Thanks a lot. Okay, I'm going back. Sorry, I didn't want to sound dismissive, but there are a couple of more things there. Okay. TSC proposal feedback changes made since you were involved there more than I was able to at that moment. Thanks. Can you share some update on this one? If you're still here. Let me see. Text. Text, are you here? We can skip that one until he joins. I mean, until he unmutes himself potentially. Okay, and TSC feedback in Ecclesia proposals. Text. Did anybody read through this document that Kevin provided last week, I think, about the framework on providing TSC feedback on Ecclesia proposals?
you share that in the chat, please?
The same one. Yeah, sure. The document itself.
I'm looking, or we're all looking at thousands of documents a week.
I agree.
How to, this one. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
I suppose.
I haven't done
We've-
anything.
We
I'll just
went through
confess.
this the last time.
Okay, he added this to the agenda. I didn't. I'm just articulating what's already on the agenda. So I don't know what would be the update to this one, nor Kevin assigned anybody to this task. So essentially probably means a checkpoint whether people looked at it. Okay, Leandro says, look good to him. Ryan
Christian,
also.
I think you also looked at it because I remember a comment from you last time. It's that how are we assessing technical proposals kind of thing.
Christian?
Yeah, is it possible to tie his document into a quick like AI analysis tool to point out the red flags? I know some of the other DREPs have kind of already done that with on-chain treasury withdrawals. Because that, I mean, this is a perfect engineering diagram for how to do it. That'd help us a lot. Maybe.
I don't know if the document is, I don't know who is the owner of the document or whether it can be copied or whatever. Like, so probably the Kevin is the right address.
So you want
Okay.
that document to be a blueprint for an agent?
Well, instead of just providing a document for all DREPs to read, if that's the goal for them to read into feedback, why don't we build it into a tool that they can analyze it? And that's the TSC's recommendation for DREPs to utilize. I mean, you can probably spin something up in 2 days.
That is quite timely, and I want to show you why. Have you ever looked at the proposal examiner?
Not beyond what Peter's built and one of the other DREPs, forgot their name.
It's a project that we are chasing since 2 years or so, and we were way too early with it. It's with the partner company Griffin, and some of the big plan was always also custom governance agents that are more sentiment aligned with DREP's personality, so to say. I can definitely give them this type of document and integrate technical evaluation based on this framework and integrate that into their knowledge graph.
Are there any opposing voices to as Leandros is saying, good to him, good to Ryan as well, Ryan Riley? I suppose Alex, I don't know, any opposing voices
Oh,
out
it's a
of
nice
the
document.
TSM? Sorry?
It's a nice document. Nothing much to.
It's a nice, okay, but literally if there is somebody, everybody is eligible to say their opinion, to express it. Okay. So at least in the notes section or gathering the notes, I would be able to say no objections, and then the action item would be on Alex to pass it down to the tool, right? To be integrated potentially.
Yeah, instead of no subjections, you can use the magic word soft consensus.
We don't go with consensus. We've heard it so many times today, consensus. Okay, understood. Any more questions on this one, or we can move on? Both sides is called and okay. This might be hard to explain, but I'm going to try. So the hard fork status. I don't know whether any of you were on the hard fork working group call yesterday. Nobody? Okay. So last week update was that Ogmios remains the biggest challenge. Ogmios readiness, and that didn't change in the meantime. What can change is the approach. Pre-prod isn't forked yet, and there is a chance it needs to be decided tomorrow. There is a chance that the mainnet governance action could still be submitted this Friday. What would that mean in reality? And that could only potentially happen if we have a clear, certain path for Ogmios as a criteria. And then it would happen. How that path forward can look like is either Matthias Bencourt has time to review it quickly, which I don't think personally will be the case, or there was an idea that the Ogmios is forked. The Ogmios itself is forked, and the fork is being used for hard fork readiness aspect, for Van Rossum hard fork readiness aspect. As it is a sensitive topic, especially for the author of the Ogmios for Matthias, Jeff Robayo took it on his as his responsibility, as his action item, and he said that he's in touch with Matthias, and Jeff will give an update by tomorrow's meeting. So either before the meeting or during the meeting, so we can then, as a hard fork working group, discuss about what's going to happen. If there is a recommendation that there is a viable path ahead and a certain path ahead for when it comes to Ogmios PR, the recommendation can, not certainly will, but can look like a recommendation to fork pre-prod on Friday, and also at the same day to submit mainnet hard fork initiation governance action. That would also mean in reality that the hard fork action is submitted on mainnet and hard fork is enacted on pre-prod a few days later. I would say, I think it will be ratified on 31st, which is the pre-prod epoch boundary, and then enacted on 5th of June. So few days after the mainnet submission action would be done. So that's on the hard fork itself. DB-Sync issue is addressed. For whoever else here who is not familiar, there was a problem with DB-Sync problem, not a severity one, but still an issue with certain epoch with aggregate values in specific tables. And that was true for all versions up until 13.7.0.x, whatever the version is. Essentially, if it is the recommendation for everybody to upgrade to the latest version released last Friday, which is 13.7.1.0, which has this issue resolved, or if you're still running 0.0.5, that's still Van Rossum compatible. However, you should run the script available in the release notes. When it comes to the discussion on UPLC case changes, I would say, if I'm able to explain it well, it is considered to be a non-issue, and that was based on some community feedback. But the discussion was whether it should be left out for Plutus version 4 or should be left in the scope of the current form. And it would inevitably, if it was subsequently removed from this one, it would also delay the hard fork itself. I've covered pre-prod hard fork, Plutus parameter update. Plutus cost model was submitted yesterday. I think we covered that one already at the beginning. And as Kevin pointed out, maybe delayed, maybe not. We don't know. We will know more after the hard fork working group meeting tomorrow. And I can commit myself to provide an update in the technical steering committee as well about anything that was discussed and or decided on the working group call. I think I now covered everything. So any questions? Either I'm boring or I'm articulating well. Something of it is. Okay. Okay, all good. Again, it is a sensitive topic to fork one of the tools that community considers important. So it will be addressed with the utmost care. Committee mean size, I mean, we also said, covered this one so far, right? Nothing to be added here. We covered this at the beginning of the call. Okay. Any questions when it comes to this one? No. Oh God, I don't know how to address this one. Essentially, again, there is a chair election process. Sorry, just give me.
Didn't we nominate and elect Kevin like 5 months ago? Or was
Yes.
it already a year ago?
I don't know whether he was, to be honest, I don't remember whether he was voted for or just asked to continue. I don't remember. Tex, do you remember, perhaps? As we were just handing over this thing with secretary duties. I'm not sure, to be honest.
So Kevin has been the chair of the technical steering committee for a while now. He's been continuously agreed or reelected as times go on. The most recent one was, I believe, he was reelected in October, if I'm not mistaken. So that was the last time that any form of election happened. Right now, elections are happening for everybody. And so if the status is staying unchanged, then it's just a simple agreement put in front of the membership. This is also an opportunity, or hopefully we actually get a vice chair in position. But if somebody is willing to take on the full leadership capabilities and wishes to make that case with the rest of the committee members, you could essentially go for chair. The way that they're doing the process is based on whoever applies. Let's assume for the fact that there's two candidates. The first candidate with the most votes is the chair. The second candidate with the next amount of votes is the vice chair. That's how they have it set up. It's not a perfect world. Each person may have a different opinion on that. But yes, it is still required for us to follow through with for each committee. As that it's a standard process to put this again in front of the membership and in a place where it is not. They wanted to have an actual record of it as opposed to just committee meeting minutes. So this will live in the members area and something that can be pulled out and auditable and all those details.
I think we need to provide some guidance to at least the newly elected members, for the ones who are not familiar. I'm just thinking about the things from the practical perspective. So anybody, the application phase is open since yesterday, right, Tex? And at least by default, it would close on 1st of June. I don't think that's sufficient time for everybody here, at least, especially the newcomers, to get themselves familiar and consider applying. So I would at least ask Tex and everybody else, if you agree, to extend the application phase for at least 1 week, so we can potentially cover that topic on the next ESC meeting and async in the meantime. So
historically, the more time that we take talking about this, the more headache that it causes, and it actually delays the agenda. But if there's sentiment that's in agreement with that from the rest of the committee, then you could request it. But right now, I believe within a 2.5 or 3 week period, all of the committees are aligned to have their chair and vice chair elected. So this would be off cycle, but we could or not off cycle. This would change the dates, but that still can be done if that's what the committee desires.
But I would just challenge. I mean, I understand you. The thing is, like, if I'm going to, as a secretary, ask everybody to apply, I wouldn't know whether everybody here on the call are familiar with the process enough and with the members area to be able to apply properly for it. That's what I'm saying. So
everybody here has been through the members area to apply to be on the technical steering committee. It works the exact same way for the chair vote. So there's nothing additional technically. It's literally go into the members area like you were going to apply to be on TSC, except you're going to see this is for TSC chair or vice chair. You're going to have 1 or 2 questions that you're asked to answer. And again, your market base here is only your fellow technical steering committee members. And yeah, I'm not here to go back and forth with you, Bosco. I'm putting it back to the committee. So yeah, I'll bow out unless there's another specific question.
I don't know.
Okay.
I would still like to extend it. Sorry, Alex, go on.
No, I think we've understood the point. Christian may elect himself as a VC, and we all agree. Well, we can discuss that the next time when everybody's around. Now we are.
So we have five out of 9, right? Of
Yeah.
you, I mean, of TSC members. So I can at least start the thread about that on Slack in the meantime, today or tomorrow. So let's see where it leads us. But I would say we are not, we don't have enough time for everybody to apply, meaningfully to apply. Okay, anything else of business? You are at time already? I suppose you're all tired. I also want to thank our guests. It was very much informative. So the real danger is now, of course, as he pointed out, is what strikes me, at least from my point of view. Sorry, text, every other will need to access during the, yeah, absolutely. So in a nutshell, the election process for a chair is that everybody who wants to nominate himself will do so, and then all TSC members will be eligible to vote for that candidate or not. That's it. With yays and nays, yeah, I would say so. Yay with what you said. Have a great day, everybody. See you around. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.